So there's a $600 hotel credit that comes with the American Express Platinum and the Business Platinum, and most people either don't use it or they just use it wrong. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to maximize this credit so you're not leaving any money on the table. Most people think that you just book a hotel through the American Express Travel and you get that credit, but there's actually a bunch of rules and terms and conditions that can trip you up and might sometimes even lead to you not getting the hotel credit. The thing is, if you understand how this credit actually works, you can get some pretty decent stays and very little money out of pocket. Plus you get elite-like benefits that you wouldn't get otherwise. I just used my credit to book 2 luxury oceanfront hotels in Oceanside, California. The properties are literally across the street from each other. And later in this video, I'll explain why I had to book the 2 hotels across the street from each other. I'm gonna break down exactly how the credit works, the mistakes to avoid, and the tools I use to find the best deal. My name is Max and I help people maximize their airline miles, hotel points, and credit card points. Remember the like and subscribe button down below, and let's get started. So the credit is $600 in annual total credits for fine hotel and resorts. It comes with both the American Express Business Platinum and the regular American Express Platinum. And the annual fees on those 2 cards are really high, but if you use all your credits on your credit card, you can usually come out ahead, and the $600 hotel credit really helps offset that annual fee. The credit though is split into 2, $300 from January to June and $300 from July to December. And it's use it or lose it. If you don't use it during that time frame where those credits are valid, you lose it and it's gone. It doesn't roll over. You can't extend it anyway. You have to use that credit between January and June and from July to December. It's a bunch of rules that you have to follow. What they're trying to go for is for you to forget to use your $300 credit. It's kind of annoying that they break the credit up, but that's their way of hoping that you forget to use your credit every 6 months and you leave it and let it go expire. But since you're watching this video, you're not gonna let that $300 credit every 6 months expire. So the booking has to go through American Express travel portal. You can't book through directly with the hotel. You have to book through the American Express travel portal, and it has to be a prepaid stay. So you have to pay during booking. If you don't do a prepaid stay, it won't trigger the credit. So there's 2 different types of categories that you can book. Fine Hotel and Resorts, which FHR for short, has no minimum stay. You can just book 1 night and you can trigger that credit. The other category is the Hotel Collection, which requires a 2-night minimum. I usually book FHR because, sometimes these hotels are pretty expensive, and if you're doing multiple nights, and usually it's more than $300, and usually it's a lot more money. That's why I like to find hotels that are fine hotel and resorts that are just 1 night, that stays as close to the $300 credit as much as possible, so I don't have to pay that much out of pocket, which is why I like to use this credit for a lot of staycations, either here in San Diego or close by San Diego. The great thing about booking through American Express Travel and these FHR, the Hotel Collection hotels, is that it comes with a ton of elite-like benefits that you typically wouldn't get by just booking directly with the hotel. What I mean is like room upgrades if they're available, $100 property experience credit that you can use on drinks, meals, or even the spa at the hotel, late checkout if available, early check-in if available, and then if you're booking an FHR hotel, a fine hotel and resorts, you can get complimentary breakfast for 2 for every night that you're staying. And as you may know, breakfast at these hotels can be really expensive. This can be like $50 to $80 per person sometimes, and so you're getting some really good value on the complimentary breakfast, in addition to the $100 experience credit, which is really legit because you can use it for drinks or dinner on the property. You're basically getting treated like an elite member without having elite status. Of course, you want to have that stay cost as close to $300 as possible so that you don't have to pay that much out of pocket. But if you do pay anything out of pocket, since you're booking through American Express Travel, it earns 5 times American Express points for every dollar that you spend. What some people like to do when they have the American Express Platinum and the American Express Platinum Business is that they book 2 consecutive nights back to back using the 2 different credits. So they'll book, for example, like January 1st for a night stay there with the American Express Platinum, and then they'll book January 2nd for the American Express Business Platinum, and that will be 2 separate stays, and then they expect to get the $100 property credit for each of the stays. Well, in some cases, hotels will lump those stays together and call it 1 stay and only give you 1 experience credit or 1 property credit for your 2-night stay. And it's actually in the terms as well in the American Express Platinum that hotels will lump those 2 together as consecutive stays, and they only have to award you 1 experience credit. So your experience may vary on that. What some people like to do is that they like to check in for your first stay, and then after that 1-night stay, they check out, walk around the block, and come back and check back in. in, or they have player 1 check in for one night and then player 2 check in for another night. Sometimes these tricks work and sometimes they don't, but hotels tend to be onto this stuff. What you can potentially do is that book 2 different hotels that are close to each other, which is what I'm doing. I'm booking the Seabird in Oceanside for one night, getting the experience property credit for that, and then packing up and then moving across the street, literally across the street to the Mission Pacific Hotel, and that will also earn me another experience property credit there. So I'm getting the experience credit for both properties and not missing out on anything at all. So really the main overall goal is to find hotels that are close to $300 as possible. If you're doing a FHR hotel, it's one night stay that's close to $300, or if you're doing a hotel collection stay, it's close to $300 for 2 nights. That way you pay nothing out of pocket, and this can be really challenging because FHR hotels tend to be pretty expensive. One option is that Vegas tends to have really cheap hotels, especially during the off season, so you'll tend to find a lot of options that are under $300 per night. And so that's a good way to use your credit without having to pay a ton of money in extra. Sometimes there's a book 3 nights, get 1 night free type of deal, and there's special rates that pop up from time to time, so keep a lookout for those, and it's worth checking periodically. What you can potentially use is a tool called MaxFHR.com, which is super helpful. I'm not associated or affiliated with MaxFHR, but it gives you a nice little price counter so you can see the cheapest dates, so you can stay as close to the $300 credit as much as possible. Let's jump over to my computer and I'm gonna show you how it works. So I'm here on MaxFHR, and this is the free version. It has a bunch of ads and stuff like that, but it's still very usable for exactly what I want to do. And you can see here that each of the hotels are labeled THC. I can uncheck this and it'll sort by Fine Hotel and Resorts that way as well. And so what I like to do is I just search around on here and find any of the hotels that I'm interested in. So for example, like I would type in San Diego here and hit search, and it'll come up with some of the hotels that are Fine Hotel and Resorts. Or I can do a more broad search like California, and then it'll show me all the hotels in California. And so the ones I picked were Seabird and Mission Pacific, and it gives you the lowest price here, and it also gives you the property credit amounts, and then if there's any specials going on right now, like I previously mentioned, there's like the 15% off nightly room rate here. And so if you click on like the Seabird here, it will give you this nice award calendar to show you which dates require the fewest amount of money in order to be able to stay there. And ideally what you want to do is pick the lowest amount so that the $300 Fine Hotel and Resorts credit would cover that. For example, the 19th here, you can go and click on that and it'll redirect you and deep link you over to the American Express page. And so as you can see here, Seabird here, and then this is the rate here that we saw on the calendar, $225, and the total price is $314.60. And so since it's a $300 Fine Hotel and Resorts credit, then you're paying out of pocket $14.60. So that's the strategy of using MaxFHR. You can also pay for the paid version. I don't use the paid version. I just use it for this case of seeing the award calendar, which makes it really easy. And I mean, there's more filtering options here if you want to do hotel collections, and you can filter through that and amenities and price and so on. So you can filter this down to like around like $300 and some dollars. And you can see all the hotels that are really low in price. And this one's pretty crazy. Like I mentioned, like this is part of the hotel collection. It's $41 per night in Vegas. And so you can stay 2 nights. And since this is the hotel collection, it requires 2 nights. And so let's go and click on this and see. So this is $41, which is really cheap. And you can probably stay like 1, 2, maybe 3 nights, and it'll still be covered by the FHR $300 credit, which is pretty cool. So let's go for example, and let's go check that out and see what the total cost is. And so here I'm on the American Express page, and you can see like the room rate. MaxFHR is useful, but sometimes it's not accurate or not up to date. So it's not always pulling the most accurate information. It's $75 per night, and it's a total of $283.58, probably because there's a ton of fees and resort fees and taxes and stuff when it comes to staying in Vegas. But this is still fully covered by the $300 FHR credit that comes with American Express Platinum and American Express Business Platinum. So still nothing out of pocket there. So to recap the key points, there's $600 annual credit that's split into 2 $300 chunks. You get it for $300 in the first half of the year and $300 in the second half of the year. It's use it or lose it from January to June and July to December. And you have to book through Amex Travel, and it has to be a prepaid stay only. FHR has no minimum stay, where hotel collection hotels need to have a 2-night stay, and you get elite-like perks and benefits. You can use tools like MaxFHR to find the cheapest dates. Vegas is a solid option for really maximizing for some of those cheap hotels, or you can find 2 hotels close together like what I did and move between the 2 so that you get the experience credit for both. So that's all I have for you today. Remember, hit the like and subscribe button down below, and I'll put another video on screen right here that goes over how I earn all my American Express points. And thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you guys in the next one.